Hi there. Welcome to a first chapter fave with Miss Renfro. Today's choice is When You Reach Me by Rebecca Steed. I have read several of her books. She's a fantastic author, and we're going to go ahead and get started. Her chapters are short, so I'm going to read several sections. Things you keep in a box. So Mom got the postcard today. It says congratulations in big curly letters, and at the very top is the address of Studio TV 15 on the West 58th Street in New York City. After 3 years of trying, she has actually made it. She's going to be a contestant on the $20,000 pyramid, which is hosted by Dick Clark. On the postcard, there's a list of things to bring. She needs some extra clothes in case she wins, and makes it to another show where they pretend it's the next day, even though they really tape 5 in one afternoon. Barrettes are optional, but she should definitely bring some with her. Unlike me, Mom has glossy red hair that bounces around and might obstruct America's view of her small, freckled face. And then there's the date she's supposed to show up, scrawled in blue pen on a line at the bottom of the card. April 27th, 1979, just like you said. I checked the box under my bed, which is where I've kept your notes these past few months. There it is, in your tiny handwriting. April 27th, Studio TV 15, the words all jerky looking, like you wrote them on the subway. Your last proof. I still think about the letter you asked me to write. It nags at me, even though you're gone and there's no one to give it to anymore. Sometimes I work on it in my head, trying to map out the story you asked me to tell, about everything that happened this past fall and winter. It's all still there. Like a movie I can watch when I want to, which is never. Things that go missing. Mom has swiped a big paper calendar from work and scotch taped the month of April to the kitchen wall. She used a fat green marker, also swiped from work, to draw a pyramid on April 27th, with dollar signs and exclamation points all around it. She went out and bought a fancy egg timer that can accurately measure a half minute. They don't have fancy egg timers in the supply closet at her office. April 27th is also Richard's birthday. Mom wonders if that's a good omen. Richard is Mom's boyfriend. He and I are going to help Mom practice every single night, which is why I'm sitting at my desk instead of watching after-school TV, which is a birthright of every latchkey child. Latchkey child is a name for a kid with keys who hangs out alone after school until a grown-up gets home to make dinner. Mom hates that expression. She says it reminds her of dungeons and must have been invented by someone strict and awful with an unlimited childcare budget. Probably someone German, she says, glaring at Richard, who was German but not strict or awful. It's possible. In Germany, Richard says, I would be one of the Schlüsselkinder, which means key children. You're lucky, he tells me. Keys are power. Some of us have to come knocking. It's true that he doesn't have a key. Well, he has a key to his apartment, but not to ours. Richard looks the way I picture guys on sailboats. Tall, blonde, and very tucked in, even on weekends. Or maybe I picture guys on sailboats that way because Richard loves to sail. His legs are very long, and they don't really fit under our kitchen table, so he has to sit kind of sideways with his knees pointing out toward the hall. He looks especially big next to Mom, who's short and so tiny she has to buy her belts in the kids' department and make an extra hole in her watch band so it won't fall off her arm. Mom calls Richard Mr. Perfect because of how he looks and how he knows everything. And every time she calls him Mr. Perfect, Richard taps his right knee. He does that because his right leg is shorter than his left one. All his right foot shoes have 2-inch tall platforms nailed to the bottom so that his legs match. In bare feet, he limps a little. You should be grateful for that leg, Mom tells him. It's the only reason we let you come around. Richard has been coming around for almost 2 years now. We have exactly 21 days to get Mom ready for the game show, so instead of watching television, I'm copying words for her practice session tonight. I write each word on one of the white index cards Mom swiped from work. When I have 7 words, I bind the cards together with a rubber band she also swiped from work. I hear Mom's key in the door and flip over my word pile so she can't peek. Miranda! She clomps down the hall. She's on a clog kick lately. And sticks her head in my room. Are you starving? I thought we'd hold dinner for Richard. I can wait. The truth is, I've just eaten an entire bag of cheese doodles. After school junk food is another fundamental right of the latchkey kid. I'm sure this is true in Germany too. You're sure you're not hungry? Want me to cut up an apple for you? What's a kind of German junk food? I ask her. Wiener Krispies? She stares at me. I have no idea. Why do you ask? No reason. Do you want the apple or not? No. And get out of here. I'm doing the words for later. Great, she smiles and reaches into her coat pocket. Catch. She lobs something toward me, and I grab what turns out to be a bundle of brand new markers in rainbow colors held together with a fat rubber band. She clomps back toward the kitchen. Richard and I figured out a while ago that the more stuff Mom swipes from the office supply closet, the more she's hating work. I look at the markers for a second and then get back to my word piles. Mom has to win this money. Things you hide. I was named after a criminal. Mom says that's the dramatic way of looking at things, but sometimes the truth is dramatic. The name Miranda stands for People's Rights, she said last fall, when I was upset because Robbie B. had told me during gym that I was named after a kidnapper. I had left my keys at school and waited 2.5 hours at Bell's Market on Amsterdam Avenue for Mom to get home from work. I didn't mind the waiting so much. I helped Belle out around the store for a while, and I had my book, of course. Still reading the same book? Belle asked, once I had settled into my folding chair next to the cash register to read. It's looking pretty beat up. I'm not still reading it, I told her. I'm reading it again. I had probably read it 100 times, which was why it looked so beat up. Okay, Belle said. So let's hear something about this book. What's the first line? I never judge a book by the cover, she said. I judge by the first line. I knew the first line of my book without even looking. It was a dark and stormy night, I said. She nodded. Classic. I like that. What's the story about? I thought for a second. It's about a girl named Meg. Her dad is missing, and she goes on this trip to another planet to save him. And does she have a boyfriend? Sort of, I said, but that's not really the point. How old is she? 12? The truth is that my book doesn't say how old Meg is, but I am 12, so she feels 12 to me. When I first got the book, I was 11, and she felt 11. Oh, 12, Belle said. Plenty of time for boyfriends then. Why don't you start from the beginning? Start what from the beginning? The story. Tell me the story from the beginning. So I started telling her the story of my book, not reading it to her, just telling her about it. Starting with the first scene, where Meg wakes up at night, afraid of a thunderstorm. While she listened, Belle made me a turkey sandwich and gave me about 12 chewable vitamin C's because she thought I sounded nasal. When she went to the bathroom, I sneaked a little bunch of grapes, which I love, but can't ever have because Mom doesn't like the way grape pickers are treated in California, and she refuses to buy them. When she finally got there, Mom hugged Belle and told her, I owe you, like I was some repulsive burden, instead of the person who had very helpfully unpacked 3 boxes of green bananas and scoured the refrigerated section for expired dairy items. Then Mom bought a box of strawberries. Even though I know she thinks Belle's strawberries are overpriced and not very good, she calls them SSOs, which stands for strawberry-shaped objects. Where did Robbie B. get the dumb idea that anyone would name her own daughter after a murderer? Mom asked. Our building was still half a block away, but her key was already in her hand. Mom doesn't like to fumble around in front of the building looking like a target for muggers. Not a murderer, I said. A kidnapper. Robbie B.'s dad is a prosecutor. He says the Miranda warnings were named for a guy named Mr. Miranda who committed some horrible crime. Is that true? Technically, maybe. The Miranda warnings are essential, you know. People need to know that they have the right to remain silent and the right to an attorney. What kind of justice system will we have without maybe meaning yes? And then there's Shakespeare. He invented the name Miranda, you know, for The Tempest. Made perfect sense now that I thought about it. Mom wanted to be a criminal defense lawyer. She started law school and almost finished her first year, but then I was born and she had to quit. Now she's a paralegal, except she works at a really small law office where she has to be the receptionist and the secretary too. Richard is one of the lawyers. They do a lot of free work for poor people, sometimes even for criminals, but I never dreamed she would name me after one. Mom unlocked the lobby door, which is iron and glass and must weigh 300 pounds, and she pushed hard to swing it open, her heels slipping on the tile floor. When we were inside, she leaned against the other side of the door until she heard the click that means the lock has caught. When the door swings shut by itself, it usually doesn't lock, which drives Mom nuts and is one of the things the landlord won't fix. So, was he a kidnapper or not? I punched the button for the elevator. Okay, you win, Mom said. I named you after a monster, Mira. I'm sorry. If you don't like your name, you are welcome to change it. That was so Mom. She didn't understand that a person gets attached to a person's name, that something like this might come as a shock. Upstairs, she threw her coat on a kitchen chair, filled the spaghetti pot with water, and put on to boil. She was wearing an orange turtleneck and a denim skirt with purple and black striped tights. Nice tights, I snorted. Or I tried to snort, anyway. I'm not exactly sure how, though people in books are always doing it. She leaned against the sink and flipped through the mail. You already hassled me about the tights this morning, Mira. Oh, she was usually still in bed when I left for school, so I didn't get to appreciate her outfit until she got home from work. Nice nail polish, then? Her nails were electric blue. She must have done them at her desk that day. She rolled her eyes. Are you mad about waiting at Bell's? I was super busy. I couldn't just leave. No, I like it at Bell's. I wonder whether she'd done her nails before, after, or during her super busy afternoon. You could have gone to Sal's, you know. Sal and his mom Louisa live in the apartment below ours. Sal used to be my best friend. I said, I like it at Bell's. Still, I think we should hide a key in the fire hose for the next time. So after dinner, we hid our spare key inside the nozzle of the dusty folded up fire hose in the stairwell. The hose is all cracked looking and about 100 years old, and Mom always says that if there's an actual fire, it will be of no use whatsoever, and we'll have to jump out the window into the neighbor's garden. It's a good thing we live on the second floor. You asked me to mention the key. If I ever do decide to write your letter, which I probably won't, this is the story I would tell you. And that is the first 3 sections of When You Reach Me by Rebecca Steed. And here is the book jacket. By 6th grade, Miranda and her best friend Sal know how to navigate their New York City neighborhood. They know where it's safe to go, like the local grocery store, and they know who to avoid, like the crazy guy on the corner. But things start to unravel. Sal gets punched by a kid on the street for what seems like no reason, and he shuts Miranda out of his life. The apartment key that Miranda's mom keeps hidden for emergencies is stolen, and then a mysterious note arrives scrawled on a tiny slip of paper. I am coming to save your friend's life, and my own. I ask 2 favors. First, you must write me a letter. The notes keep coming, and Miranda slowly realizes that whoever is leaving them knows things no one should know. Each message brings her closer to believing that only she can prevent a tragic death, until the final note makes her think she's too late. This remarkable novel takes place in the real world, but holds a fantastic puzzle at its heart. When You Reach Me is an original and a brilliant and profound delight.